Hey guys, how you doing? Okay, so this is going to be a video response to the HappyConsoleGamer, and HappyConsoleGamer just posted a video yesterday about the Super Nintendo and the Super Famicom, and him and Robman were discussing the differences between the two systems and their likes and dislikes of each system, and their memories of the system as well and the games that they played. And it was a really cool video, and at the end they asked for people to do video responses to say why you liked either the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom, and give you memories as well, I suppose. So I thought I'd post the video responses and write in a comment because it's a more personal way of doing it, and it's a great idea. So obviously, if you watch my channel, you're going to know that this is my favourite Super Nintendo, the American version, the North American release. The reason I prefer this to the Japanese Super Famicom, or even the PAL Super Nintendo, which is obviously the same design as the Super Famicom. When I was a kid, I had the PAL version because that's what I could get hold of. I couldn't buy one of these because you had to get it from a grey importer, and quite honestly, importing games back in the 90s was just ridiculous because you needed to go through import companies and use credit cards, and you'd have to ask your parents, and there's no point your parents were going to allow you to do a credit card with some company out of a magazine, so it was never going to happen. So finally I've got one now and I absolutely love it. And for me personally, I think the Super Famicom and UK, well, European Super Nintendo, great design. It's very slick, it's very rounded and stylish, and it looks beautiful. And the problem I have with it is it's just grey and it's a bit boring. Whereas I know this is a grey box, but at least they made an effort and they put these massive purple buttons on, which I know put a lot of people off. But for me personally, I think it makes it really striking and stands out. And I like all the lines in the design in the consoles. I like the fact that you've got a little step up there, a little lip, and it steps back down. You've got the lines there where the big eject button goes in. And it's just a really striking, cool design. You've got like the rounded ports there for the controllers. It's beautiful. It really is a beautiful bit of engineering. And I've always been a massive fan of the North American release. It just blows my mind. I think it looks absolutely stunning. I think, if you think about it, in the 90s, because obviously video games were still not as massive as they are now, and they were still, starting to take off really at the early 90s when this came out. And so I think if you'd have seen this in a video game shop, or even in just an electronic retail store, and you hadn't had an NES, say, probably unlikely because a lot of people did in the 80s in America. But if you didn't have an NES and you were mildly interested in video games, or even if you weren't, this would have caught your eye and you'd have seen this and gone, what the hell is that? And you'd have to try and find out. And then you'd have probably seen a demo of Mario World and you'd just gone, I'm buying one of them, because Super Mario 4 is just one of the greatest platformers ever. It's just fantastic. Obviously, being British as well, an American system is a fantastic choice because it has RGB out, so I can use my SCART cable, which gives the best picture quality. Also, most importantly of all, it runs at 60 Hz, which is fantastic because the games don't slow down. And also, when you put it on a 4x3 CRT TV, you get rid of the borders top and bottom. Some of the games still have borders, but the majority of them are full screen, which is excellent. And the ones that do have borders are slightly smaller than the European borders, which are huge, unfortunately. And the other massive advantage of the American system is that inside the port there, in the cartridge slot, there are two tabs either side, which are filed down. And once you file them down, you can put Japanese Super Famicom games in here, so it's a dual system, you can play both. So any Famicom, Super Famicom exclusives, you can play on the American Super Nintendo, which is a massive bonus because obviously trying to do it the other way around and play American games on a Super Famicom, you need to buy a converter, or you need to widen the slot to fit those big chunky American carts in, which if you don't do right, you could end up making a right mess of it and making your console look bloody horrendous. So I think the American SNES is by far the best choice, especially nowadays as well if you're a retro collector. The American Super Nintendo rocks because it just ticks all the boxes. It's a pain to get one if you're outside of America, but well worth the money, I think. And of course, when it comes to Super Nintendo, there's only one thing that really stands out, and that for me is without a doubt Street Fighter 2. As a kid, this was the game that just blew my mind. I've mentioned it before, and for the benefit of HappyConsoleGamer, if you watch this video, mate, the reason that Street Fighter stands out for me so much is just simply when I was a kid, we had a magazine in the UK called Computer and Video Games, CMVG, and I was going on holiday with my family, and me and my cousin were in the back of the car, and I just remember vividly looking through this magazine. It had a review or a preview, it might have been a preview of Ultraman because the Super Nintendo hadn't been released here in the UK yet. And I just remember flicking through the magazine and then a double page spread of Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior. And to me that was the point, like Johnny said in their video, when ActRaiser made him realise that arcade games were coming to the home. the arcade quality of gaming. When I saw that Street Fighter dual page, I was just like, that is unreal. I mean, that is finally we're getting to that point where we are going to get arcade graphics in the home. I mean, you can argue that it's not arcade perfect, of course not, but it's the closest we got at the time, and it's absolutely stunning. Street Fighter 2 just blew my mind. For me personally, Street Fighter 2 Turbo is the greatest Street Fighter game ever made on any system, and I'd never get fed up playing this. I'm still playing it to this day. I mean, it's just that good, and it changes every time you play it. You never know how the battle's going to go. It's a bloody brilliant game. I've never been I know you've got Street Fighter 3 and 4, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter EX. None of them are as good as the original. The original style of Street Fighter 2 is the best. It's classic. The Super Nintendo for me is just the greatest system. It was the first console I ever owned, and I actually bought for myself, which was fantastic at the time because I was only a kid and had to get a paper round, and it was a pain, but it was worth the money, worth the wait, and so now obviously I've got quite a few American Super Nintendo games. I've got a reasonable size collection growing at the moment, which I'm really happy with, and it's just a stunning console. There's so many games. Johnny mentioned a few of them. Castlevania, Mario 4. There's Zelda, Links to the Past, which is not a game that I play that often because I'm not an RPG guy, but I can appreciate the quality of the game. It is absolutely stunning. You got Street Fighter, you got Contra, Batman Returns, Axelay. There's just like tons and tons and tons of quality titles. The thing I like most about the Super Nintendo is not only is there a huge catalogue of games. I think there's over 700 games released in North America. But out of those 700 plus games, I'd say probably 90% of them are absolutely top quality titles. There's only really a small amount of really, really bad games. And that's quite impressive for a console to have that many games and to keep the level of quality where they did. So you've got to appreciate Nintendo holding the reins on the quality really. It was just excellent, and I absolutely love the Super Nintendo. I know Johnny and Rob Man were talking about the Super Nintendo joypad and how they prefer the Super Famicom because it has the multiple coloured buttons, which we had in the UK as well. And I can give you that, that's fair enough, because they are really nice and it does look great having the 4 different colours as opposed to the American controller where it's just purple. And they're really, as much as I like the big purple buttons on the console, they could have probably changed it and had it a bit more brighter. But I still think it works, and it contrasts well with the grey as well, so maybe it was the right choice. Controllers wise, they probably should have just brightened it up a little bit, but then again it might not have matched with the console, so I don't know, it's probably a design choice at the time I suppose. But that's my favourite version of the Super Nintendo. I absolutely love the North American system, and it just ticks all the boxes. It's got everything going for it, and especially as a retro collector these days, it really is the best system to buy. So I want to say thank you to HappyConsoleGamer and Rob Man. Awesome video. I love your channel. I watch all your videos when they come out, and I think you're absolutely fantastic guys. Very genuine, very down to earth, and I like the fact that when the two of you are on camera together, you can definitely see the genuine friendship that you've built over the years. And there's, the fact that you've got so many subscribers, and you've got a huge channel here on YouTube, but you haven't let it go to your head, and I really appreciate that. There's, something that really counts for a lot, I think, is for someone who can be as successful as the HappyConsoleGamer, but also be one of the most genuine, nicest people on YouTube as well. And awesome dude. Your channel's brilliant, and I really can't wait to watch your movie as well, because I saw the trailer. Fantastic stuff. Really excited to see what you do with the movie. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all again soon.